Hi everybody and welcome to the channel. I'm Cindy Daychuck with Queen Bee Creations and today we are going to be working on this little thrift find. Now, let's face it, most people are not grinding their own beans by hand anymore. Even if they're grinding their own beans, they either have a machine that does it for them or they use a magic bullet. But I love these little guys even as decor. They're just super cute. This one happens to be from Germany. So technically a good make. It just doesn't look good right now. The little drawer is broken. And you know, this needs work. This is all scuffed up. So I thought that I would bring you along with the fact that sometimes these little things can just be cute little decor items. What I am gonna do is I'm gonna see if I can remove the metal piece from the wood so that I can work on them separately. So that's our first task, is just to get this apart. There are some little baby screws there, so I need my little baby screwdrivers. And you might be too small. Just kind of go as big as you can go here. All right, so let me see if I can get them pulled apart. And if so, then I'll come back with the plan of attack here. Okay, gang. I got it apart. I needed WD-40 to help me get it apart. I have a bunch of pieces now that I'm not sure I'm gonna ever be able to get back together again. So it may be less functional and more decor when I'm finished. Because sometimes I have these ideas and they're not the best. So here's what I'm gonna do. I am gonna sand this because I haven't decided if I'm gonna stain or I'm gonna paint it. I'm leaning toward painting just because the wood doesn't look like it's particularly great. It's not looking great. So we'll probably paint it. I am looking at this. Look at how bright and shiny the part that was against the bottom is. So I am going to take, not WD-40, some Barkeeper's Friend and start to work on this a bit and see if we can get some of that copper coming back. So I'm just going to kind of spread it out and let it soak a bit and then start kind of wiping and scrubbing and see what we get. So hopefully we get this looking a little cleaner. I'm gonna wash these other parts off because if I do manage to get them back together and they are functional, then we might as well get the gook off them while they're apart. I'm not holding out a lot of hope though, because it took a lot to get them apart. So sometimes I start these things with one idea and then I have to do an oops and just say, okay, we're just pivoting and we're gonna do something different instead. So in my world, I don't get too married to one particular idea, because when that idea is no longer practical or feasible, I'm not crying over the fact that I have to do something different. So cleaning and washing and sanding. That's my life for the next little bit on this, what I thought would be a little project and is now becoming bigger. So it's been soaking for about 5 minutes and I just take a little brush. This happens to be a stencil brush and scrub at it a bit, but you can see I'm getting some of the tarnish off. So definitely, I don't think it's gonna look as bright as that, but it's looking better. That's a win, and I'm taking the wins as they come because the rest might not be. Okay, so when I was trying to sand to see if it's good wood, it is not. The bottom came off, so it needs to be re-glued. This little base needs to be glued onto here, so I figure I might as well get everything painted. I'm gonna paint it white. So I'm using Fusion casement so that it will self-seal, because if it is functional, this will just be a cute, nice, clean look. It'll look great with the copper. If it is non-functional, then it'll be a super cute look as well as a decor piece. And I have some cute ideas I think would be really cute for it as a decor piece. So now I'm not as invested as to whether it works or not, but I'm gonna try and make it work. Now that this is open, much easier to access the stuff to reassemble it properly, assuming I remember how that goes. Okay, so we have this all painted white, all the various components. I have the little drawer over here. You can see it's weighted down with tools that were lying around on the table. I had somebody look at this to determine, is it fixable to be functional? And their response was no. That the gizmos, the gears, the things, grinders are worn, and it's never gonna really grind again. So then we're not gonna agonize over it. What we're gonna do is kind of loosely put it together so that it looks like a grinder again, but then we're going to turn it into more of a decor piece than a functional piece. And this is sometimes the way it goes. I mean, I wasn't really, I didn't really need it to be a functional piece. It was just well, if we could make it functional, then, and then use it as decor, then it's two things, and why not? But I don't need it to be, I think is the point. So I'm going to at least put together, and I at least remembered how it went together, the components. So it's kind of hanging out there, and it looks like it looks real. And then we're gonna zhuzh it up and change it out. I found another thing that I thrifted in my stash that I think is going to be perfect for this. So let me screw things back into place here. And then we'll begin the zhuzhing part together. As is often the case, these small, simple little projects sometimes turn out to be the most time-consuming. This did not go back together well. As much as I thought that I knew how to put it back together, and it kind of looks like I did, I still have a part left over that I can't figure out where it goes. So it's just as well that we'd already determined it was not functional, because I've now guaranteed it. But it looks like it's back together. It was not easy. The pieces just didn't want to fit anymore, like the wood pieces, and so we did nail and glue and stuff where we could, and it is back together, and it's fine from that perspective. Now, what I thought that I'd do is first put some IOD transfers on here. Now, because this is a very petite piece, I needed some really tiny decor to go on it. So I do have the last couple of images from one of the pages from Malot's transfer. So that's the one that has a page of all eggs and a page of all bugs and a page of all fish. And I think there's one of vegetables and one of fruit. This is just the florals, but they're very tiny. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut a bunch of those out and kind of lay out where they might fit. And then we'll be able to start fitting them on. And again, you know, it's just, I could leave it plain. You could leave it plain at this point. I'm just, you know what? I have fun doing the transfers, and so far this has not been much fun for me. It's been cleaning and cursing and putting things together, taking them apart and again, and then trying to put them together again. And so I want to do some transfers. So there's something about this that I love. Sometimes it's as simple as that. So I'm gonna get some of these cut out. This one's all kind of schmozzled together and I need it separate. So that's gonna be a little bit of fussy cutting, really having to work my way around different elements. So I'm gonna do that off camera because you don't need to watch me doing that. And then we'll come back when we're ready to start applying some of the transfers to it. All right, I've cut this down to size. I took the bottom off. It wasn't glued down yet. I need to find some little nails that are gonna work. So I will ultimately glue and nail it and clamp it in place. So I've cut this down. I'm gonna start it on this side edge, and I've flattened out the bottom so that I can wrap it right around the whole piece. So I'm just gonna peel it back a bit and start it here. And because I painted with Fusion, which has a built-in sealer, the transfers are going to love going onto this surface. But I think that the scale of this little transfer with just these tiny petite florals are going to work well for this project. I looked at some of the labels and those kinds of things, but then I think that labels on different labels on all the sides would end up looking a little fussy more than anything else. All right. I want to leave that first part on so that I get a good turn on it, that I get that wrapping nicely around the whole piece. And because I've kind of fussy cut this, my edges, I don't have any real halo around it. I'm kind of working right out to the edge. So I just have to be a little bit careful when I get out to the edges that I'm not going to be scratching my paint off as I'm releasing my transfer. And good. And I just like to burnish that down with the white backing paper. And we get this lovely design going around. So now I'm going to look for some pieces that are going to fit around that other side and kind of continue on. And then we'll do the top. Ultimately, then I need to attach the bottom. I just thought as I came to the front, and I'm going to attach this on, I just wanted to kind of show you roughly what I do. I have to work around that knob. So I'm going to cut slits in my transfer, bigger than my knob is, hopefully, that I can then just push my transfer up and around like that when I apply it. Have to take the backing sheet off first. But just a small little trick to be able to fit in nicely around there rather than cutting out little pieces and trying to fit them in. Now that I have my transfers on this, all I need to do is seal it. I'm using Tough Coat by Fusion. You could use the polyacrylic of your choice, but you just want to get these sealed so that they're protected. All right, it's not quite dry, so I'm going to be a little careful in handling it. But what I'm looking to do now is I want to have this off to the side and I want to fill this with some floral foam. I don't want to glue the floral foam in, so then it is still removable. So you could switch things out. We'll glue things to the foam. We just won't glue the foam in. But because of the centerpiece, we're gonna be jamming stuff down in there. I think it'll be fine. And another big piece over on this side. I just use this to cut it. I find it the easiest thing. It's got a nice flat edge. All right, there we go. Now, I do want to put some moss around it. Again, I want the moss to be glued down to the foam and not to the container. So I'm just going to do my glue onto it this way, so then I can glue that in place and it can still just pop out. Sorry for the half head, but I want you guys to see this part. All right, and we'll glue that in. And then that's it for our moss. So just a little bit of moss just from the dollar store. Now, the thing that I did get in my last thrifting was I got this baggie. I love the bags. And it's full of little faux cacti plants. So what I thought we could do is like, look, like just these little guys. So we end up with 3 of those. I'll save the pots for something else. I don't want all that stuff on there. And this guy has 3 little guys we can glue. I just think it'd be cute. And I did make a point of, there was one cactus on our Merlot page and I made sure to put it on the front. So what I'm looking at is, let me just kind of stick these. We have this big, well, maybe we could do the big green guy and then fill in with our littles. Okay, all right. So I'm just gonna, maybe I like you over here and you over here. Yes, all right. So I'm just gonna get our cactuses, cacti, not cactuses, Cindy. So I'm gonna get our cacti glued into place, and then I'll show you our finished little project, which now that it's turned out this way, I'm really liking it. It's very sweet. Here's our finished little project. It's so cute. I love how it turned out. We've got our little drawer here. And I love the size of those florals. It looks very English country garden sort of to me. And with this all bright and shiny on top and those cacti in there, just super sweet. Now, this isn't what I had planned. But because it wasn't functional, then it became a non-functional project. So then we started to look at decor. Because the wood was all patchy, it wasn't all the same, I was gonna have to paint it, in which case then I thought, why wouldn't I do transfers? So sometimes these projects morph into something unexpected. And you just wanna be open to that happening. Sometimes these projects just finish organically. They have a life of their own. And I literally just got these this week. I didn't have a project in mind for them. It was just, I thought they were a really practical thing to have on hand. And I think just perfect for this, more so than having blooms, right? But we can easily pop them out. We didn't glue them to the form. To the funnel part, we glued them to the floral foam, and it's not glued, it's just jammed in there. So you still got a lot of other functional use out of this in terms of changing out this overall decor, Obviously, I kind of made it go in a certain direction because I added the transfers. Let me know what you think of this, guys. And let me know if you've had projects that kind of changed midway on you and you pivoted, you went in another direction. I think that's the life of a creative, that we need to, we start out with a vision, but sometimes we just need to be open to the vision morphing into something else. Really, that's how I got into this business as it is. Wasn't anything I envisioned, but life needed a pivot. We all face those moments in life. Thanks for tuning in as always. I appreciate your being here. And I'd appreciate you more, but tuning in for the next one. And I'll see you then. Take care.